know the rule of thirds. Well, good evening, everybody. I can see you all there. Paul, I wore my blue glasses just for you. We'll just give this a few seconds for people to join. Hi, Paul. Hope you're well. Hi, Linda. How's my dog? Tracy, how are you? Hi, Sam. You remembered. Good for you, Sam. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Rhonda. Paul, if you're good, I'll buy you a pair. How does that sound? Well, we're just waiting for people to join. We've got hi, Andrea. We've got a free upgrade this week. Stephanie is very, very quietly speaking, so I've got George reading the questions this week. It's very, very hard to do with the iPad, and you've just got the one microphone. So I'm absolutely amazed at how well this has gone. This was just an idea. Hi, Rhonda. This is just an idea to keep me busy, really, because I was missing my spirit work. And hi, Dawn, get a glass. And that's a fair point. Could somebody go take the wind chimes down, please?
Take the wind chimes down because they're giving me the fear.
Hi, Eddie. How are you? Yeah, so this was just something to keep us busy, and I'm pleased to say that the two that we've already done have been watched by over 2,000 people, and if anybody can show me a way to get it off of my Facebook page and up onto my YouTube channel, that would be really appreciated, because we're all struggling to do that here. So Steph's asking 4 questions.
It can now be shared as well.
And it can now be shared publicly as well. And if needs be, we'll run a wee bit longer tonight, because I always feel it's too short for people. So any questions, just ping them over and we will get started. I even clean my glasses, look, they're all shiny. Elizabeth, sorry darling, I got your message. I've just been that busy with work. I promise I'll give you a call tomorrow. Eddie, if you want to fire them over, that would be great. Okay.
Leslie said, Gordon, may I ask you, how did you feel about your mum? How did you feel about your mum? How did your dad feel about your mum and your spirit work?
How did my dad feel about my mum and my spirit work? Her spirit work. My dad was absolutely devoted not only to us as a family, but to my mum and her work. He was called by one person Long-Suffering Joe. But Dad really enjoyed taking mum places, going to Eastbourne, going to Stansted Hall, and really supported my mum incredibly. While he never showed any mediumistic abilities, he was known as being a very good healer, my dad. And anybody who ever knew my dad will know with his personality, that's no shock to anybody. My dad being a fantastic healer. So, yeah, my dad was really, really supportive of my mum. And all the family, and anything we put our mind to, anything he could help with, he helped as much as he could. Next question.
Paul Gawkin asked, did you ever worry about the spirit work / family life balance and also fitting in a day job?
No, you know me, Paul, I just love to work. I currently have about 3 jobs, I think. No, I used to find it hard balancing, when I was working full time, balancing work and then getting to churches for strict deadlines. That was the only bit I struggled with. But no, spirit never give you any more than you can handle, and I just love being busy. Morning, Mr. 8 from Mobile, Alabama. Janine, how are you? So no, I never struggled, and in fact, I always welcome more work, as you know.
So Daniel Harkness asked, Gordon, have you ever thought of teaching people your gift?
Yes, this is something that, since my mother passed to the higher side, has become quite strong in my head. It's an urge I have, to be perfectly honest, and I'm sure Eddie will agree with me on this. There's a lot of things out there calling themselves mediums at the moment that I wouldn't stand next to. Paul, Peter, Stuart, Peter, myself, Gordon Smith, all have my mother's marks and my mother's disciplines, and I would hate to see that lost. So yes, we currently have 4 people now who want to train as mediums, and I'm just waiting on that one more. But I'm waiting for them to present themselves to me. But it's going to be a long, hard slog. There's not going to be any quarter given. But I'm looking forward to it, and we'll maybe do something on here towards the end of the year into the start of next year, once I finally get it up and running with the 5 fledglings and myself. So yeah, there is a plan to train.
Eddie Nichol asked, is there any of the great mediums from the past that you had read upon or wished you could have witnessed?
Albert Best, certainly. Helen Duncan, another one, obviously. I was very fortunate growing up, Eddie, that great mediums used to come to my house. My Aunt Christine, who wasn't really my aunt, but she was there that often. She was a phenomenal medium, along with my mother. Colin Fry came and stayed in the house. Obviously, Gordon Smith and I are great pals. But yeah, I was very, very fortunate growing up to be surrounded by great mediums. But the ones that I would have liked to work with, Albert Best, definitely. Helen Duncan, without a doubt. But sadly, I'll need to wait till I get to the higher side before I meet these people now.
Margaret MacDonald asked, has any spirit shocked you when they've came through to you?
Depends what you mean by shocked, Margaret. A lot of people keep the same personalities when they go to the higher side. Some of the language can be a bit flowery. Some of the things you get told. One session that springs to mind is I was serving the SNU church in Kilmarnock, the Scottish Spiritualist National Union church, and I was speaking to this girl, and I was bringing her father over, and unfortunately her father had been an alcoholic when he was here, and he made me tell the girl that he hadn't touched a drop since he'd went to the higher side. And she went, "Oh, that's great. I'm so pleased to hear that." And then I heard as clear in my head as you could hear me, "Don't be happy. You just can't get it here." And I absolutely doubled up on stage at the SNU church in Kilmarnock. And by the time I had composed myself enough to tell the girl what the man actually said, the whole place was in an uproar. So yeah, they still shock me. They come through, they say certain things, and they do certain things. But yeah, they still shock me, yes.
Charlotte Taylor asked, is there anyone you would like to work with within the medium world?
I honestly believe, I was thinking, I was thinking about this today. It's come back through a couple of mediums, and maybe Eddie, you could help me out with this at some point. That my mum wants me to continue on to carry on her work, which I thought I was doing, but apparently she wants me to move to the next level. Yeah, I would love to share a platform, and we do actually have plans to do it, to raise money for specific charities with Gordon Smith. We spoke very briefly of it at my mum's funeral, and we agreed that we would do something to A, mark my mum's passing, and B, raise some money. So yeah, I would really, really love to share a platform with Gordon. That would be tremendous.
Leslie Fairley asked, gee, what's a gatekeeper? At a church my Carrie used to see a woman at the door. I couldn't see anyone, but Carrie did.
Okay, Gatekeepers is moving quite... how do you put this? It's quite an advanced state of mediumship to recognise the gatekeepers. Gatekeepers are the person that control the flow from the higher side, so the people who control who's coming through, who's not coming through, that sort of thing. But I'm not really 100% sure of the answer of that. But my understanding of a gatekeeper is somebody who controls the flow towards your spirit guide and then onto yourself.
Elizabeth Collins asked, has your body ever been taken over by spirit?
Never. Again, that's down to physical mediumship. I am not a physical mediumship. I have tried, but I can't let myself go that much. And as I say every week on here, it's about control and spirit respecting the medium. It's my mind, it's my body. I say who, I say when, I say how much, if you like. So no, I don't allow that to happen. And spirit are aware that it's not something I'm comfortable with. Not only that, it's something that I don't feel I can do properly.
There's a
Oh,
question you have to read.
right, I'll need to read this one, so bear with me. Right, you could have read this, Georgia. Hello, Gordon. I hope you are well. I was just wanting to ask something. My aunt passed away last month unexpectedly. I just wondered if my mum and dad were there to meet her. She was very spiritual and always believed it would be waiting for her when it's her time. My family would be so grateful for a bit of reassurance, and that's from Emma Blakey. Emma, not only were your mum and dad there, I feel there was a third person there to meet her. I feel it was somebody on the same generation as her, so perhaps a partner or a brother or sister, something like that. But there was definitely somebody from the same generation there to meet her. I'm being told that the month of March is important to the family, okay? And there's also tattoos somewhere on the arms with somebody, which are quite significant as well, okay? The lady has been met in the higher side. She is 100% fine, okay? And has actually been back already in some way to let somebody know that she's fine. So I hope that helps. But there wasn't just the two. It wasn't just your mum and dad. There was also a third person in the same generation who were there to meet her as well.
There's another question came through, but it's again delving into the realms of personal sittings.
Yeah, personal sittings is something I'm perfectly prepared to do. Just hit me on this. This isn't really about sittings, guys. So if you come on and go anything for me, chances are no. There will be a few bits and bobs littered throughout, but no. If you want a sitting, please feel free to contact me, and we'll do that for you.
That was about house sittings. That's fine.
Leslie Fairley asked, will you be doing house sittings again now that lockdown is easing? I have a few people very keen.
Yeah, again, just message me. I did say towards the end of the month, I'll start looking at going back out to people's houses. I must admit, I'm getting very comfortable and very happy with sitting here doing them, and they're quite busy. But yeah, I will look at coming back out probably towards the end of the month.
Hazel Leggett asked, how long normally does it take from someone dying to spirit coming through?
Again, I was asked this last week. I've had them through while they're lying in the mortuary. I've had them through while they're lying in state in the church the day before they get buried or interned or cremated. I have actually witnessed a medium bringing them through the day after. So it really is down to that person and how they progress onto the higher side, how comfortable they feel. Some people feel that I've been told, some people feel they have to rest when they go there and recover and make the transition. Some people, it's instantaneous.
Eddie Nichols said, your mum always said that all she could leave was her teaching she had given others. In my opinion, it would be an amazing tribute to your mum for you to pass on her teachings.
Thanks, pal. She was an incredible lady. I carry... Still to this day, I carry her checklist in my wallet, yeah, she was quite an incredible lady.
No more questions just now.
Tea break. Right, George, what we got?
Absolutely nothing.
Hi, Danielle. How are you? Hi, Brian. Emma, I'm glad that helped. Sometimes we just need... A message can be one word, but I'm glad that very, very short message there helped.
Can you reiterate that this isn't more about personal readings? This is more about questions about spiritualism?
Well, we've already said that.
Came through at the bottom, talking about regrets and things like that. It's more of a personal thing you talk to someone on a one-to-one basis with. What do you talk more about how you know?
Janine, could you message me afterwards, please? And we'll look at setting something up for you, okay?
When's the next chapter in the book?
Paul Gawking.
Paul, yeah, sorry, that's the question.
Gordon, when someone goes to spirit, who let's say hasn't lived a good life while here, do they have to make up for that over in the spirit world?
The only way I can answer that is with experience, or experiences I've had. I've had people come through, and they maybe didn't look after their family the way they should have done. They maybe didn't spend enough time. They really weren't the best parents or whatever. A lot of the time they spend on the higher side trying to make up for that, looking after family a wee bit more from the higher side. As to whether somebody was a downright bad person, if they try and come through, 9 times out of 10, the sitter will not want to hear from them. So we quite simply send them back. And it has happened a few times. But no, if somebody hasn't led the life they should have done, but they weren't particularly a bad person, you tend to find that they spend their time on the next level, i.e. spirit world, trying to make up for that and trying to help family in way... the way that the best they can. Michelle, I thought I answered it very accurately.
Leslie Fairley asked, your mum was brilliant. Her book on Helen Duncan was amazing. When do I get the next chapter of your book?
Everybody keeps asking me about the book. It was one of those things when I sat down and started to write it. It just flowed incredibly. But the more I get into it, things started to dry up a wee bit. And I remember we were sitting this day as a family and we were talking, and my sister Aileen said something. I went, why is that not in my book? Why have I not written about that? So my computer's in the shop at the moment. I'm waiting for that coming back. It's been away for a wee while. But the book, again, like the circle, the home circle, has been niggling away at the back of my mind. So Yeah, the book it'll come, but I'm going to sit the whole family down and get notes from them.
Elizabeth Collins said, when they pass over, do they go back to themselves? My dad lost his leg and I'm wondering if he's got two.
Yes, my understanding is all ailments and things that were wrong, missing bits, etc., all return, but I think it's in a slightly different form to what we know. So my answer to that would be yes.
Lindsay McCann asked, do you use other mediums so that you can receive messages?
That's very interesting. I've got 2, maybe 3 mediums that I trust. I do, where possible, go to the Spirit Church, but I always have to check what medium is on and hope that they don't know me. So yes, I do use other mediums, but the curse of the medium is that you can't actually make contact yourself. You can make contact for other people, but you can't make contact for yourself. So yes, I will go to spirit churches. I have 2, maybe 3 mediums who I trust to give me an accurate message, and if they haven't got anything, to tell me they haven't got anything. So yes, I do.
Angela Earth asked, does spirit come to their own funeral?
Again, this is only through my own experiences. My mum and my sister were very, very lucky to get sitting with Gordon Smith after my father passed, and I've got it all recorded. And my father had a military funeral, and my father was a Marine Commando, SBS, and the British Legion gave him a full military funeral. And it came back through Gordon that my father was pressed and dressed in his dress uniform, standing at the front, and he was around 30 years of age at the time, or he felt he was about 30. So that's the only way I can answer that question, is with more experience. We have been told yes, that my father attended his own funeral.
Lorraine Graham asked, Gordon, we speak about this side and the higher side. Is there anything after that in your opinion, or is it here, then spirit, and that's it?
Lorraine, that's a brilliant question. I actually believe that there are many different levels, and that we were somewhere before we were here. So yes, I think once you move to the higher side, you have your life to live there, and then you move on again. So yes, I like to think there's many different levels, and I do believe that we were somewhere before we came here as well. The only difference is once we get to the higher side, we now have the ability to talk back through mediums, etc. Here. So yeah, great question, and yes, I do believe there are other levels.
Leslie Fairley asked, do you think that you age in spirit? My sister died at 8 years old and she would now be 52.
So younger than you then. Different debates here. I personally believe that yes, you do. If a child goes to the higher side, it progresses through its life there, and therefore ages there. So yes, your sister is, in my opinion, purely in my opinion, I have no evidence to back it up, moves on. I know she died very, very young, and that she'll have grown on the higher side. So yes, I do believe that.
Lorraine Graham asked, why are spiritualists unable to talk to the spirits of their own friends and family?
Curse of the medium. Curse of the medium. Sorry, I don't know. I can't explain that. I would love still to be able to converse with both my parents and my grandparents and my uncle and my cousin and all these people I've lost over the years. But no, as you have to come to me, I have to go to a medium as well. It's a bit like a doctor having to go to a doctor.
Elizabeth Collins asked, can someone predict when they die, like age roughly?
Not as far as I'm aware. Obviously, we all have a certain amount of control over how we die. And obviously people can take their own lives, etc. But no, I don't think you can actually influence the time of your death if you if you're leading life properly. I'll leave that there.
Sam Shepherd asked, "Hi Gordon, I have seen 3 well-known mediums. I bring a lot of people to the room, but don't get much communication. Is it me?"
Absolutely not. It's probably more down to the medium, and as we were talking about earlier on, the gatekeepers. People go to mediums and come and see me expecting to get this answer, get that answer. I want to know this, I want to know that. When you go to a medium, sometimes you get what you need, not what you want. So to answer your question, there's only so many people that they can bring through. There's only so much that they can tell you, and there's always more an element of what you need to hear as opposed to what you want to hear.
When did you start training?
When Steph was about 6 months old, Polly.
Yeah.
So that would be 1992. Around about March, April time, 1992, I started training.
Francis McVicker asked, "Is there a heaven and hell? Do people that do bad to you get forgiven?"
I'm not the almighty Francis, I don't know that. Heaven I've always referred to as the spirit world. I don't know about hell. So no, I wouldn't really be comfortable answering that, to be honest.
Leslie Fairley asks, "Does your spirit guide change over the years?"
Mine hasn't. Mine has remained the same the whole way through. I can feel my mum a wee bit more now, influencing things, but no, Robert remains my spirit guide. He's still the first one I go to. If I'm stuck in any way or if I need clarity, it's always Robert I go to. I just think we fit very well together. And apart from seeing all my animals again, and obviously my parents, etc., it's the one thing I'm really looking forward to, going to the higher side, although I want to put it off as long as I can, is meeting Robert and finally shaking the man's hand.
Don Leinster asked, "Do you believe when you have a near-death experience, when people say you had a guardian angel with you, that is why your life was actually saved from the near-death time?"
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guardian angels, and this is becoming a bit of a motto of mine. People speak about guardian angels a lot, and some people believe they're walking about with 7-foot, brilliant, white, bewinged beings by their side. But 9 times out of 10, your guardian angel is a member of your family, and I generally believe there's 3 of them on the higher side looking after you at various different times.
Paul Gawkin asked, "Can spirit decide when new life comes to us, as in children?"
Paul, that's quite interesting. Obviously, no. Well, yes and no. It's your body. You have the decision of how many children you have, etc. But that's something I'll get into with you, because I wouldn't mind your counsel on that either. I have my own feelings and theories about that. But that's maybe something we can gab about sometime and see what we both come to.
Charlotte Taylor asked, "Do you think that the higher side of life is like here, with education and a job, etc.?"
I've never had anything back to indicate that. I do feel there is progression, but I think it would be a wee bit... It wouldn't make sense, because we do all that here on this level. So when we move on to the next level, I think certainly education-wise, we get educated to develop again, if that makes sense. But there's not enough known about the higher side. We're only limited in what we're allowed to hear and see, etc. So I wouldn't be able to answer that. But I do feel, yes, education-wise, yes, there will be more for us to move on to the other side.
Elizabeth Collins asked, "Is every child spirit?" Heard a medium say my daughters can see spirit but not my boys.
Okay. This comes up a lot. I think somebody's adding into my video here. This comes up a lot. Yes, children are very susceptible to spirit. It came up last week again. Not every child, but most children, both of my kids, are very good with spirit. Even now, they grew out of it and they fell back into it. So yes, most children, I would say yes, are susceptible to spirit, but some, no.
Danielle Harkness asked, has spirit ever came so close to you that it has made you feel uncomfortable with feelings, etc.?
Once, and this came up on the first week we did this. This was at Fox Bar Church, and for a split second, it was just complete rage and horrible negativity, I felt, is the best way to put it. And I quite literally was on platform, giving a message, as I always do, and something, bang, got a hold of me and then was ripped back off me. It shook me a wee bit because I'd never experienced that before. And I actually had to stop, sit down for a couple of minutes, wee glass of water, compose myself, and then get back up and carried on and finish the service. But yes, once something got at me. But as like everybody, as like all of you, we are so well protected from the higher side that nothing like that should ever happen. And as mediums, we place ourselves a wee bit closer to spirit, and that's maybe why it's actually happened to me. But no, very well protected, was ripped right back off, and I carried on with my service.
Lindsay McCann asked, what was the earliest memory you have of realising you had a gift?
It's only now, looking back, that you can place certain things in your life to being part of a mediumistic gift. I was 21, 22, something like that, when I get thrown in the spirit cabinet in the house, and everything started. But now that I look back, I was round about 10 years of age, and this is in the book, so I'll not give too much away. But it was to do with a football match that I was miles away from. And then later, about 5, 6 years later, again, something else happened. So started 21, 22, but looking back through my life, maybe about 10 years of age, things in my memories feel like mediumistic gifts.
Lorraine Graham asked, when you've been doing readings, what has been the worst ailment you have been given as part of a message?
Ellen McCann and I spoke about this.
Something's happened to your sound, Dad.
Have they hear me okay?
You're now very loud, apparently.
And my microphone's right there, and my earphones are in. No, apparently I'm a very loud tea drinker, so everybody can hear me. And yes, it is tea for the moment, fairly. Right, what was that question again? Thanks, Danielle.
Oh, sorry. When you've been doing readings, what has been the worst ailment you have been given as part of a message?
Different mediums work in different ways, and I had to sit with Ellen McCann one night, and we actually discussed how if somebody died of a heart attack, I will actually get a jolt and at the heart. If, for example, if somebody had a bad injury to a leg or a knee, my left knee will hurt because it's an old injury. But if it's something more recent, my right knee will hurt because that's the order I did them in. I did my left knee at 16, I did my right knee at 35. You will see me reaching for my inhaler if somebody was bronchitic or died with a bad chest. Things like bad reactions to things, sickness, you will actually feel that. You will feel headaches. You will instantaneously go, for a small instance, sorry, go blind, and then it'll come back, and you will struggle to hear people if they had a deaf condition. So yes, spirit will put things on you, but by far the worst of all is suicidal thoughts, and trying to shake them off is quite difficult. The desperation in the person, the sense of no joy in the world, nothing to live for. It's incredible to try and work through that and carry on. So that's the worst, if that was a question.
Laura Hunt asked, how do you know if you have a gift? I often think something and it happens, or think or dream about someone I've not seen for ages and hear the next day that something has happened to them.
Okay. Laura, everybody, and it's great to see you open again, by the way. Everybody has a mediumistic gift on some level or form. I liken this to, I played football right up till I was 35, and I was okay. I could hold my own, but I was never good enough to get a game for Greenock Morton or Partick Thistle or anything like that. I just wasn't that level. In the same way that I can pick up a blank on it, but I'm no artist. I'm not as good as Georgia, for example, or anything like that. So yeah, very often we get thoughts, and it's, if you're having things like that, it's really important. Your guts, you trust your instinct, and don't be surprised when things happen. If you get a feeling about something, go with that feeling. Yeah, so everybody has it to a greater or lesser extent. I mean, I'm quite capable as a medium, but I'm never going to be a Mary Armour, So, yeah, everybody can do it in their own level.
How do you know when you've got a link and it's not just your own thought process?
Who's asking that?
Me.
We'll get into that later because I was asked that last week.
If you're on platform and give out a message, do you know if the wrong person takes it, or does spirit tell you?
It's Leslie Fairley.
Very, get a coaster under that, yeah. I am very particular that I place the right message with the right person. Very often when you're working a spirit church, 2 or 3 hands will go up, and you just have to work through it until. I would hate to think that somebody has made the effort to come back and communicate through me from the spirit world, and somebody just tried to hoover the message off of the correct person. So very often I will say to people, no, I'm not with you, I'm with that person there. But very often sitters can be their own worst enemies. They'll sit there waiting in their postcode and their national insurance number before they know it's this person, and they'll not put their hand up, and the message just has to get left, I'm afraid. But very rarely, as I said before, they won't leave you hung out to dry. They will come through, they will guide you in such a way. When I started at first, I used to open up and go, who can understand this, and this? But pretty much towards the end of my platform days, or when I'm working for a charity now, I will go directly to somebody. Can I come to yourself? Or I'll ask for somebody by name. Is there a Pauline in the house, or is there an Anne in the house? And I'll go directly to them.
Francis McVicker asked, are you getting spirits through all the time, or can you shut it off when you have to?
Very first thing you're taught, and again, this was asked the first week we did this. Very first thing we're taught is it's your mind, it's your body, you're in control. So, as I've said before, when I'm out through the day doing Gordy day job and things like that, or I'm doing family work or whatever, that's Gordon doing what he's doing then. But when I come to do something like this, it's flick, right, that switch on, we're in that mode now. So very rarely will I feel the need to walk up to somebody and go, can I get a minute of your time? And I know I've said this before, but I'm sorry the question's come up again. So yeah, very rarely I'll get the need. I feel the need to do that. Most of it is controlled and set up properly.
Dawn asked, does it take a lot of energy for a spirit to come through to give a message?
I would imagine yes, because it takes a lot of energy from here to convey the message. But it was actually likened once, and somebody reminded me of this the other day, that it was almost like for spirit to come through. Hi, Michael. You just missed the statement earlier on. We're now up to 4. It was likened to spirit having to put their face into a bowl of water and speak through the water for them to come through to us. Now, of course, we'll never know that until we go to the higher side. But, so yes, it takes an awful lot of energy for them, which is why I'm insistent I get the right connection here on the material plane.
Lorraine Graham asked, is there anything in particular you do when you are being medium Gordon to open up and connect?
Yeah. Yes, there is. I wouldn't go into that on here because I don't want people running away and trying it unprotected and things like that. But yes, there is.
How long does it take for you to train to then go on platform?
I was 5 years training, but then I was being trained by Mary Armour, and we all had to be polished. What I hate is people who go for who sit a couple of times in a circle and that's it, I've got it. No, you haven't. You've nowhere near got it. It's thinking you can drive because you can turn the car on. People vary. I took 5 years. If that's the answer I would give you. I took 5 years before I was allowed near a platform, a church platform. But and even at that, it was only as a fledgling.
Carrie Marshall asked, does everyone have a spirit guide or is it just mediums?
Everybody has a spirit guide. Yes, yes, I would say so. Yes.
Danielle Harkness asked, you said your girls are capable, but have they ever been scared or put off?
No. You have to remember that when we work as mediums, and when I was out on the road, I used to take the girls with me. Sometimes they would put their tuppence worth in as I was working. As I've said on so many occasions, we are all so well protected from the higher side. So anything allowed to get at me or my girls or anything like that. So no, nothing's ever happened to them to put them off. They're still a bit young and daft is probably the best way to put it, which is why they haven't got into it. And she just called me a name.
Michael Martin asked, is it dangerous for a non-medium to try to connect?
Absolutely, and don't do it till I'm with you.
If so, if it did happen, can it be dangerous?
Very dangerous.
Laura Hunt asked, what about angels? What is your thoughts?
I liked the programme, to be honest. It was on the 70s, I believe, about nurses. No, I never liked it.
What is it about connecting on your own that can make it dangerous?
For somebody who, hi Stuart, if anybody wants to know a capable medium, Stuart Esler is now online. Good to see you, buddy. I hope you're keeping well. What did you ask me, Steph?
What is it about connecting on your own, if you try and connect to spirit, makes it dangerous?
It's like handing somebody keys to a car and they can't drive.
But what are you susceptible to? Is there energy that comes from you sitting next to me that would guide a certain link?
There's certain elements out there that I wouldn't want to be open to if I was untrained and had no idea what I was doing. If that answers your question.
Keep the questions coming.
There's something there about intelligent, gorgeous young ladies.
Yeah.
They can't be talking about you two.
And me.
Oh, another bad name. That's quite interesting there. My pal Paul has just said, I'll take that back. Paul is agreeing with me here. Do not, under any circumstances, try to connect to spirit unless you're with a good and capable medium. Paul is one of the people I'm very proud to say I had a very small hand in his training, but is a fantastically capable medium.
Ellen Logan has asked a question about her mother coming to get her baby granddaughter. It's perhaps too personal for something like this.
Yeah, Ellen, I think we'll talk later about that, pet, okay?
Eddie Nicol asked, you hear many talk about the news of mediumship and especially physical mediumship. Would you agree that there was a higher standard in the past?
Absolutely, Eddie. Absolutely. You and I were fortunate enough to be trained to the exacting standards that my mother held. There are churches out there now. I stood one night in a spirit church, and this woman was giving off a message, and I said, I can take that, I can understand that. Can you? Right, okay, but I'm over here. Don't use that thing again. Open that door. And she proceeded to give this woman a message which I could take every single bit of, and the woman sat and went, no, 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 no. And it's just, well, I'll leave it with you. Have a wee think about it, etc., etc. But, so yeah, there were definitely higher levels. Perfectly capable mediums out there. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. Don't use that again.
Dawn asked, if someone was a bad person in their living, would they become a bad spirit or would they become good, if you know what she means?
Darling, I can't answer that. I don't know. As I said earlier on, somebody actually asked this earlier on. If somebody doesn't lead the best life here, they can try and make up for it by helping their family in any way they can. But murderers, etc., I don't think they would be allowed to transfer into the world of spirit and come back as freely as people can. Good people can. That's empty.
Yvonne Docherty asked, hi Gordon, has your mum and dad come through to you?
Yes. Dad took a really long time. Would be at the Spirit Church. And he would come through to Georgia, who was sitting right next to me. I do apologise, but not to me. But eventually, Dad came through to me. Mum has been back twice through a circle that I sit in online on a Wednesday night, and in fact, I'm taking the circle next Wednesday. This Wednesday coming, no, a week on Wednesday. I'll put the link up on my page. So yeah, Mum's been back twice. Dad took a long time to come back to me, but yeah, he's been back as well. So yes.
Lorraine Graham asked, I've heard that when you talk about spirit, it brings them through and they may not always be able to leave. Is this true?
No. Yes, talking about people keeps a memory alive. People still like to hear about themselves, so they will be in your presence, etc. Excuse me. And but they can leave at any point they want. They're never locked here. They can leave at any point they want.
Laura Hunt asked, take it the Ouija board is bad.
I wouldn't have one in my house.
Emma Blakey asked, on the higher side, do they do things they enjoyed doing in the living world?
Well, again, I can only answer, having never been to the higher side, I can only answer that again with experience. And it came back through a sitting to my mum and my sister that my dad was building my mum a boat, that it was called a Mary. It was called the Mary, but it will remain tied up at the pier until my mum comes over. So I like to think of mum and dad sailing away on the Mary now, and Anybody that knows the Armours knows that we're all huge boaties, huge boat people. Excuse me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you believe spirits can inhabit living forms again, like animals?
Again, I would see that as a step back.
Do you think?
But yes, they can. This is best directed at physical mediums like your Aunt Aileen or Eddie Nichol, who willingly sit down, put themselves into a trance, and people will come through them. So yes, they can inhabit to a certain extent people for a period of time, but no, I don't feel we come back as animals and things like that. I would see that as.
Michael Martin asked, is spirit an answer to a question that we thought about?
Hence the reason you're number 1 of 5.
Paul Gawkin asked, do you still get the nerves in the build-up to working with spirit?
I was nervous coming on. I'm nervous before I go on platform. I'm nervous before I go into a sitting. The time, it's all about humility. It's about staying humble. It's about realising that if you become overconfident, etc., spirit will quite simply take the gift away. I've seen it happen. So, yeah, I still get nervous. I still remain humble. I'm just a big telephone. It comes in here and comes out here, or comes in here and comes out here. So, yeah, I still get nervous, Paul. Great question.
Carrie Marshall asked, does spirit have a way of warning you against certain actions or people without coming through via sittings?
Yeah, it's called your gut instinct, yeah. As I said to Laura earlier on, if you feel something about somebody or something, act on it.
Intuition.
Yeah, an intuition. Act on it. Yeah, trust your gut. 9 times out of 10, it's spirit telling you something.
Lorraine Graham asked, do you believe in reincarnation? If so, would that mean that and return to this earth?
I'm afraid I don't believe in that. If I do come back, I'm coming back as a pedigree dog, the way mine get treated. But no, I feel you progress on. And maybe to answer the question from earlier on about bad people, maybe they get thrown back. So yeah.
Is it the case that when you pass, you're guaranteed to meet your family and friends and loved ones?
I would like to think so.
Or is there some sort of transition?
Heaven wouldn't be heaven if it wasn't filled with your loved ones. So I like to think, yes, when you move to spirit, I'll see my parents again. I'll see my grandparents, my cousins, things like that. You know, I would hate to think that you went there and it was a whole new world where you didn't know anybody. So, yeah, I would like to think that your loved ones are there waiting on you.
Leslie McMahon has asked the question about liking to know if her mum was with her at the time she passed many years ago, but again, this person I'd ask for.
Hang on. Leslie, I feel your mum's in and round about you all the time, particularly over the last 3 or 4 months, where for some reason things are a wee bit difficult for you. She talks about tears being shed, and she's moving around about you trying to let you know there's a particular scent or smell that you would associate with this lady, and I want you to watch for that in the house. So she's trying to let you know she's there, pet. So yeah, your mum's in and around about you an awful lot, particularly over the last 3 or 4 months.
Laura Hunt asked, have you had a favourite spirit while giving readings?
I can't remember every individual spirit I've brought through. There are ones that make me laugh. There are ones that I enjoy bringing forward. There are ones that come through are very, very pragmatic and factual, etc., etc. But there's no one that springs to mind. But there are ones I enjoy more than others. I'm just going to excuse myself a wee second, but I need to blow my nose. 2 seconds. Fucking vape. Sorry about that. Wee bit of hay fever.
As I said, God bless you, thank you, Gordon. She'll look out for the smell.
That's wonderful. I'm pleased to hear that.
It's gone.
It's gone. Sorry. Just to show we're all human.
That's 5 minutes. That's the question.
That's the last 5 minutes.
Okay, so the girls are saying we're moving into the last 5 minutes here. Once again, if anybody knows a way, these are all shared on my Facebook, and we've had over 2,000 views so far, and I'd love to get them up onto my YouTube channel. And so if anybody knows how I get it down from Facebook onto my phone and up onto or my iPad and up onto something else, I would really appreciate it. Once again, and I know we can't do them just yet, but I thoroughly enjoy doing public events, charity nights, etc. So if you want me to come out and do a charity night for you, just ask, we'll arrange it, I'll help you set it up.
Eddie Nicol asked, how long was it after your mum's passing before you seen the rainbow?
That's really significant because it wasn't long at all, was it? Eddie, this was actually, I knew there was a significant story about this. Lockdown happened on the 23rd of March. My mum passed on the 25th of March. And it was round about that time the phrase "God bless the NHS" came up, and everybody was putting the rainbows in the windows. And as we were preparing, hello, look at this. Hello. As we were preparing my mum's eulogy, and it took us ages to do that. I said to Gordon, who took the funeral, it's almost as if people are paying homage to my mum by putting the rainbow up in the window, because the rainbow was my mum's business card. It was a symbol that she took everywhere. So yeah, the rainbow really started to appear just after my mum died, and it's everywhere. And I'm pleased to say it's still everywhere at the moment. People are still putting the rainbows up in their windows. So yeah, the rainbow is really, really, really significant.
Don Lester asked, do you believe when there is a death due to suicide that they have to make up for the wrongdoing of taking their own life to get onto the higher side, even if they were a good person before their death?
I don't think there's anything to make up for. I think anybody who takes their own life is a poor, poor, desperate soul. So I don't feel they've got anything to make up for. Why? If somebody feels so bad that they actually take their own life, have they not paid enough to get to that point? And the fear they would go through in actually taking their life, I don't feel anybody should have to make up for anything else once they get to the higher side. Suicide is a terrible thing, and the thing about it is you don't stop the pain, you just pass it on to somebody else. And I remember a girl talking to me on here, and she told me she'd tried to take her own life, and I'm really quite frustrated with the girl, because that girl had kids and a partner, and eventually she tried again and she was successful in her attempt, and I just felt so sorry for the people that were left behind. So no, I don't feel anybody should have to pay if they go to the higher side. They went through a horrible existence to actually get to that point here.
Rosie Conley asked, is Tommy around, Gordon?
I don't need to tell you that. Yes, he's in and round about. He talks about tears still being shed, Pip. I want to liken this to if you were sitting in the room and there was a glass door, and one of your loved ones who's alive and well was on the other side of that glass door, breaking their heart, crying. You would get upset because if you couldn't get through the door to get to them and comfort them. When Tommy sees you sitting here upset, crying, and he's great, by the way, he's fine. he gets upset seeing you upset, which is quite natural. So it's hard. I know it's hard. I've had many moments myself over the last couple of years, but he's there, he's in and round about, and he sees you upset, and he's saying, "Look, Pet, I'm okay. Dry your eyes, Pet, I'm okay." And he liked my joke about the car, even if you didn't.
Carrie Marshall asked, would Spirit be waiting on the other side for someone who had passed via suicide?
Oh God, I would hope so. Undoubtedly, if anybody needs it, it would be that person. Yes, so yes, I agree wholeheartedly that people would be waiting. They would more likely be trying to stop the person from doing it, but if it came to the point that the person was successful, yes, there would be somebody there waiting on them. Yes, I am still doing private readings online. PM me if you want one. It's getting quite busy, but PM me if you want one.
Charlotte Taylor has asked the question, are you aware of the funeral on Wednesday for Mr. Walker?
I'm afraid I'm not, Charlotte, and I don't know who Mr. Walker was or is, sorry. Perhaps you could send me a private message and tell me.
Amy McClelland, Gordon, where is my dad thinking of life at the minute?
Sorry, I don't understand that.
Where is my dad thinking of life at the minute?
That doesn't make sense, I'm sorry.
Okay, you're now over time, so last question.
Okay. Right, last question, guys, because we are over time and I want a beer. So Steph's just reminded me there, if you want to do this again next week, we're maybe looking at putting topics into it, your own experiences, see if we can look at this cheeky bugger here. Look at this, look. Maybe you've had experiences, things that have happened, maybe we can try and look into them and try and shed some light on them. So if you've had anything happen for next Monday night, send us through what's happened to you, and we'll try and work it out from there and shed a wee bit of light on it, if that makes sense. Okay, so listen, guys, thanks very much. If anybody can help me with my YouTube problem, I would really appreciate it. I love doing this. If you want me to do, well, I think we'll do it again next week with that topic. And thanks very much. It's been great. Good to see you all. Take care. Bye-bye now.